Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Mike, and I'm a technical product marketing manager at Forward Networks. In today's Demo Tuesday, we're going to see how Forward's mathematically accurate digital twin can help Mike, a member of Rathco Inc.'s security team, figure out what's going on in his network. Thankfully, I think I'm prepared for what the day could bring. I hope so, right? We want to keep this as interactive as possible, so if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat, and we will answer them towards the end of the session. So now let's jump right into Mike's email, and let's see what he has going on for today. All right, so it looks like Mike has a few things he needs to look at. So it looks like we're being audited. So they want to get cloud security posture breakdown. So they want to know what kind of lateral movement it looks like we have in our cloud environment. And Randall is being very abrupt with needing this. So let's jump into the Forward platform and let's see how quickly we can figure this out. All right, so in here, we're going to go to security and posture, and we're going to go to cloud security posture. All right, and just like that, from this snapshot that we have exactly what our cloud security posture looks like. We have what the lateral movement could look like. So theoretically, we're looking to see at what access can go where. And it's color-coded. So green means full access, so connectivity is full open. Yellow means we have partial access. Red means we have absolutely no access. And if there's a gray X, that means there's no connectivity between it. So we can actually grab this very easily. We can either take a screenshot and send it off, or we can click this export button and we can export this matrix as a CSV. If the auditors wanted more information, say they didn't like that sales has partial access to the production database network, we could actually click into this and we can see exactly what source IPs talk to what destination IPs on what port and what protocols. And again, this could also be downloaded. So we got that downloaded. We're going to fire that off to our auditors so we can get one thing off their plate for now. Let's see what else Mike has today. Shelton is looking for, do any of our devices have config-based vulnerabilities? I need to know this with 100% certainty, and I need it in 5 minutes. All right, so we have about 500 devices sitting in our infrastructure. There's no way, traditionally, I can get this in 5 minutes. Let's take a quick look and see where Forward can help. All right, so, vulnerability. Let's see what we can get here. So it looks like because we have all of our devices in Forward, and Forward is collecting state and configuration from them, and it looks like we're also downloading CVE information from NIST, we can do a match between the version that's running on the device and the version that is currently running on the box. Whereas other vulnerability scanners really go on, they'll assume based on a fingerprint, like, oh, you have a Juniper box, you could be susceptible to this many number of CVEs. Whereas, this is, oh, okay, you're running code version 14.1 R5.4, we can say that, hey, you're affected by this critical vulnerability, but Sheldon wanted configuration. So we would go to detect based on, and we'd filter on config. So now we can, because again, we're gathering all the configuration information, we can look at CVEs and we can say, hey, you're running this code is triggered in a CVE. So how that would be shown is we look at this hides CVE. So it looks like it's a vulnerability in SSH. So if we click on this little view details, we'll list out the devices. We'll tell you the version of code. We'll tell you the model. We'll tell you if it receives traffic from the internet or carries traffic to the internet. And then if we click this little view matching config icon, the configuration will actually pop open and it'll show you the line of configuration that is susceptible to this CVE. So now forward won't remediate, but now you have the tools in your tool belt to go in and do a remediation and know what you have to change, where you have to change it. And then the next collection you run, this CVE for these two devices, if you do decide to remediate them, won't be there any longer. And everything is exportable. So if you had a different team that had to research and see exactly what it is, we can export the actual device listing as a CVE, or we can take this whole spreadsheet that we're actually matching based on configuration, and we can download this CVE and then we can shoot this off to whoever we need to shoot this off to. All right, so far so good. 2 tickets down, and I just started today. Looks like this helmet isn't going to be needed. Let's see what else we got. We got issue with account. Someone from the help desk called me and said they need to reset my password and that I should tell them what my password is to verify. Oh no, they didn't. Now they can't access anything with the new password they were given or their old password. Their desktop IP address is that. All right, so this could be bad. This can be really bad because knowing what a machine can access generally isn't something most organizations know because they're so large. This machine can access pretty much almost everything in the infrastructure, and being able to see that is very difficult and very hard to get in a timely manner. So let's jump to forward and let's see what we can figure out with this. Let's just make note of that IP address, 10.101.21.10. All right, let's jump back into Chrome. First, let's go to exposure. Let's see how bad it really is. So forward integrates with Rapid7 and Tenable. So we'll pull in vulnerability information from one of those two endpoint scanners, and then we take that information and we put it into the math model so that you can see based upon your exposure point, and you can set different exposure points. So you want to know how they're exposed to either the internet, contractors on a VPN, a partner, DMZ. You can set your exposure point and see how exposed the systems are, if at all. So we want to see exposure to the internet, and that host is right here, and it has a vulnerable SSH, and it's vulnerable. So it has a vulnerable, the SSH service is vulnerable, and it looks like Rapid7 is reporting that the box has 6 critical vulnerabilities. One of those vulnerabilities could potentially be a SSH RCE exploit. And if that's the case, we need to know exactly what this host could access, because that could spell disaster. So let's, how can we easily figure out where this host could access? Normally, this is chalked up to, I don't know, and we just need to go to every firewall as fast as humanly possible and try to block this specific host, not knowing what it could potentially hit. But Forward has a feature called Blast Radius, where we can get to it from the Blast Radius button here, or in Exposure, we can click this little splat looking icon, and it'll actually bring up everything that this particular host can access. So if you know there are specific targets that you want to remediate immediately, there's a searchable list that's also downloadable, and you can go through it and you can kind of see, all right, this is what this looks like. This is where I need to start. This is where I need to start remediating, and where I need to start making sure that this expected hijacked host can't hit. Another thing we can do from this screen is, if you actually want to see a path to see if there was a firewall in between that you could go to quickly and change, this little looking glass icon will actually launch Forward's path analysis. So you can see that, okay, the flow started off this switch. It actually does go through a firewall. So now the system that's back here, if you want to stop this traffic from actually going to it and start to isolate this host out based upon firewall rules, now you know that you can go to a firewall and you can shut it down. Another thing that you also now know is what switch port this host lives on. So if we click on the host, we'll see that he lives on this switch, and it's coming off of this port. So now we can come into Ethernet 10 and we can shut that port down. So now the host is completely isolated because it's in a down port. And then we can also turn around and we can go, okay, now we can start remediating firewalls just to ensure that we're protected and there's nothing more that we need to do from this standpoint. All right, so we solved 3 somewhat could be complex security issues in less than 10 minutes. We now know what we need to do with vulnerabilities. We made the auditors happy by giving them a cloud security posture matrix. And now we know that if that host really was breached, what the blast radius was, what it could have infected. So now we can start looking and remediating rather than, oh no, it went into a black hole. What do we do now? And then we also know the port that the affected host is on, and we can get in, shut that port down, and remediate what we need to remediate. Pretty cool, right? So I don't think I need the helmet anymore. Although being in Florida this week, I may need it starting tomorrow, but don't know for sure. So let's see any questions. Can Forward integrate with a PAM like CyberArk? Not right now, but it is something we are looking at, and potentially in the future, it could be there. Does Forward provide asset inventory features? I see inventory button on the side of the panel. Yes, so Forward does provide inventory features. So let me jump back into Chrome. Let me jump into inventory and kind of step through it. So we have 2 concepts of inventory. So we have the inventory of devices that you upload. So you can search for those, you can filter based upon OS version, management IPs, what the status is. You can actually jump right from here, whether clicking on the device name or clicking on the view config. You can jump in and actually see the configuration of the box. You can see device state at the time of the collection. But another thing that we do is we have customers who want to logically look for things. We have a query language called NQE, which is a network query language. And essentially what you can do is you can write your own queries in order to find stuff and get more information out of it. So if you're looking at the network devices, you can see it's very, very bare bones. It's the name of the device, the vendor, the model, OS version, management IP, and if the last collection was completed or not. With Inventory Plus, you can write queries to actually go in and pull more information about the box. So you can pull in things like if it's if it has line cards in it, fans, chassis, anything that you can get from the box. You can write an NQE query if we collect it, or if you have custom stuff and you want your custom stuff to be shown in here when you write that query. If you add it to Inventory Plus, we'll actually pull all that in, and then you can search and slice this up as you want it to, and then again, download reports based upon what you see here. I hope that answered the question. Are there any other questions? I have to pause for a few seconds because there's a slight delay in when I say any more questions. All right. With that, thank you all for coming to this Demo Tuesday. If you'd like to give Forward a try, you can head over to quest.forward.app. You can pick a persona, whether you want to be a cloud persona, a security persona, or a network persona, and we'll run you through real-world examples. You could also head over to our Bright Talk channel, and you can watch several webinars that we've had that are on demand. Some of the ones I want to point out is Supercharging Your SecOps with Network Insights by one of our co-founders, Nikhil. And then another one is 5 network issues a digital twin can solve it under a week with another one of our co-founders, Brandon. One more question came in, so let's bounce back to Chrome real quick, and let's see if we can answer it. What does onboarding a device into Forward look like? There's several ways you can onboard a device. One of them is you can upload a CSV file of all your devices. It's just name, management IP address are really the ones that we need, and you give it credentials to be able to log into those devices. Another one that we can do is we can go from a seed device. So if you give us a seed device, we can from that seed device use what its neighbors are to build the database. We can also do what I like to call spray and pray. So give it a subnet and it'll try to log into devices that are on those subnets. And that's just a few of the ways that we can ingest devices into the Forward platform. And then lastly, next Demo Tuesday, we're going to switch back to networking. And if you've ever wanted to know what happens if you're the subject matter expert on a part of the network and something happens while you're in the middle of a root canal and you need to head back in and figure out what's going on, how can Forward help you with that? Join us September 12th to find out exactly how that would work. Thank you guys for coming. Have a fantastic day.